3, 4, 5. You lost 5 starters, and you think that game was going to be a 9-point spread? That's a coin flip game. Coin flip. We're just bet. No, you're not. When you lose, though, when you lose 5 starters, significant guys, team captains, your best linemen were out in that game. Lane and Jalen Carter. How in the world do you think that is a 9-point spread? It became evident when you saw the play calling. I'll tell you what, man. Why in the world did you get away from Swift? You had it going in the first half. They just got away from it. That coaching staff panicked when Lane went out. They panicked. You know why Hurts was sitting on the side dumbfounded? He's probably sitting there going, why are we doing this? It wasn't that he was rattled. He was not rattled. He was rattled by the coaching decisions. You think that kid is a kid that gets rattled? No way. No way. He's been through too much. Jalen Hurts does not get rattled. He was dumbfounded by the coaching in-game adjustments. He was quietly pissed off. Wasn't panicking, dumbfounded. You think 2 quarters is going to unravel Jalen Hurts? Not even I believe that. Not even I believe that. The side loses players, he adjusts. Sirianni Johnson lose one guy, and they forget how to play football. As soon as Lane went out, didn't you see the air come out of the whole entire offense? And then guess what they did? They put him in a comfort zone twice. Rolling right and throwing to AJ. Rolling right, throwing to AJ. Dude, did you hear what they were saying at the end of the game? We knew Hurts would throw an interception. That offense became so predictable, it was like watching a high school football game. Lane has high ankle sprain and could be out 3 weeks. Biggest loss by far. Enormous loss. Let me give you my takeaways now. Then we're going to go into the numbers. This was an injury-packed, shitty coaching, and poor decision-making by Hurts loss. No 3 ways other than those 3 ways cost you that game. Lane's always here. We need a new. No, you do not need a new right tackle. Okay? No, you do not. That coaching staff is holding you back. It is so the whole thing from the head coach down. He'll get in front of the media and lie to you all through his teeth about how good now everything was his fault and shit. You're preaching today, Big Sills. Jalen did lose us the game, and to make it worse, we ignored our strength in running against their weakness, their run defense. Jalen should be between 25 and 30 attempts. Run the freaking ball. DC's good. He is good, Prince. Prince, he is good. He is good. I like Sean Desai. I think Sean Desai, he's growing on me even more each and every single week. I thought he did. When I give you the numbers here, you're going to go like this. How'd they lose? Turnovers. That's right. Shitty play calling. Bad decision-making. Run the My aunt don't like me dropping the F-bomb, so I can't do it that many times. I said on Friday, run the ball 48 times. What they do? They threw it 45 times. Why is it so important for him to have 4,200 passing yards at the expense of turnovers? Don't you feel this? If Patrick Mahomes could not have to throw the ball 600 times in a year or 700 times in a year, and have fewer turnover opportunities. He would much rather have that. I'll bet you any quarterback would. Because with Mahomes, it's not about stats anymore. It's about Lombardi trophies. The only way that Jalen Hurts validates that contract moving forward is if he wins the Lombardi trophy. Anything short of that is a failure. Failure. It's a failure in Dallas. Right now, it's a failure. "45 passing attempts is absurd. Lane Johnson going down without a question. You hope that it's not going to be a lingering thing that goes on. Excluding Jalen Hurts' rushing attempts, the Eagles only ran the ball 14 times. 14 times for the second best rushing attack in the NFL. And you thought it was in your best interest to get away from that. Who made that decision? What coordinator in their right mind would go, hey, we're the second best team running the ball. Let's not do it. Where's your common sense? Where's your common sense? Dude, if I'm a heavyweight knockout artist, I'm not going to try to sit there and spar with you. I'm throwing haymakers. You could have wore that Jets team out. Sills, I'm an old guy, and coaches are giving me that Randall Cunningham vibes. Let Jalen be Jalen. Wheels. I don't think they're letting Jalen be Jalen. I think, they're putting the brakes on, like when those coaches went in there with like Gruden and those guys and tried to put the brakes on Randall. And then when they got him up there, Brian Billick went like this, go be Randall Cunningham. And that's when Randall Cunningham, you were like, that's Randall Cunningham. Everybody in Philly must have looked at that when they saw Randall Cunningham in Minnesota, the year they went 15-1. You must have went like this. Holy shit, they overcoached him in Philly at the end of his tenure. Right? Right. Brian Billick said it. That's a guy, you just keep him in the sandbox. Don't let him get too nuts. And he's going to complete a ton of passes for you. Callie Green goes, one game, everyone's all ready to burn the place down. It's all year your coaching sucks. Now you're getting into them. Hey, I see a couple more losses coming. Especially with the significant injuries. Oh, yeah. You got 3 more losses coming your way. Easily. Easily. This is not one game. You mean to tell me you're going to stand up there, Callie Green, and lie like Nick Sirianni and go like this? Brian Johnson's done a great job all year play calling. And just sit there and lie. You're really going to sit there and do that? Tone's like, this is not just one game. This has been building up. The offense has been screwing around all year. And finally bit him in the ass. Against the Jets. Against the Jets team that had the U-Hauls ready. They're 2-3. And you lost to a Jets team that the defense had pretty much surrendered. The offense couldn't get untracked at all year long. And you let that team off the hook. Your coaches, your head coach and your OC are just not very good. They're just not very good. $19-play drive. I really liked it. What happened after that? You had a 19-play drive going, and then what happened? You know why? Because you scripted it, you predetermined it, You knew what you were going to do and had confidence in it. And then when you had to actually call plays in the game, you couldn't do it. Plain and simple. Lane goes down, you panicked. Hey, Tone, no disrespect to anybody. And I know Farcetta said it because I listened to the post game, and he said that it's the first time he's ever seen Jalen on the bench. I didn't take it that way. I took it Jalen Hurts was sitting there going, what the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? What's going on? Why am I throwing the ball so much? Why are we not running it down their throat? We have a Hall of Fame center. We have the entire left side going. What is going? We have a running back who's second in the NFL in rushing. He didn't look confused. Yeah, he looked confused. Sure did. He looked confused because the coaches are confusing him. There's no clarity on the offensive side of the ball. There's no clarity. Dude, Jalen Hurts kept you in that game. At the end, he cost you the game because they asked him to do too much. But here, as hard as I am on him right now, Tom Brady's lost games. Peyton Manning's lost games. Matthew Stafford's lost games. All the greats have lost. Joe Montana's lost games. What is your problem? So what? Do I think you're going to win more games, a ton of more games with that kid than lose? Absolutely. Get over yourselves. It's okay to go. Man, I'll tell you this. Some of you guys cannot take coaching, nor could you. Because me, Jalen, you sucked. Now, Jalen's going to take that hard coaching like Brady would. And it's going to motivate him for the next week. Because you know why? You can step on that gas pedal of Jalen Hurts. Carson Wentz, you can't. A loss like that is why Wentz is unemployed. A loss like that is why you'll be in that Dolphin game. You know, he said something pretty poignant that's true. I do think he's going to learn from this. You may not be trusting those guys on the sidelines, and he may have to have more of a say in what direction they're going. If that's me, I look at Jalen Hurts. If I'm Hurts and I'm making that kind of money, that's my team. We ain't throwing the ball with a minute something left in the game with the lead on the road. And we got a ton of injuries. And what do? We're throwing out patterns. When we've struggled all day long and we've thrown the ball too much, and now they're starting to pick up tendencies. The guy even said, dude, I got the guy who said it. He said it at the press conference. Coaches just knew that Jalen was going to throw. Here, Tony Adams. Jets coaches knew that Hurts was going to throw a pick because he was eyeballing down AJ all game long. You were predictable, as I've been saying. Why did you get away from Swift? Why did you get away from him? And get this. Here's even more arrogance to this. So you throw the ball 45 times, and Hurts was pressured more than any time since he's been a starting quarterback in Philadelphia. He was pressured 20 times in that game. And yet you felt it was in the best interest to throw the ball when you had been pressured in that game more than any game in his entire coaching career and playing career. But you thought it was in the best interest to still throw the ball and get away from the run. Why? What bullshit excuse will Sirianni have at his press conference? I can't wait. It was my call. Well, then you're dumb. Then you don't have a feel for it. Why would you come out of your identity? They're trying to be a finesse team. Those coaches want Jalen Hurts to be a finesse passer instead of the bulldog he is. It just doesn't make sense. That entire outside of the 19-play drive, that entire game made no sense. I didn't know where they were going. There was no mental thinking about it. There was no rhythm to it. Dude, you were establishing Swift. All of a sudden, it was gone. And it was Lane. The injury went, wham. Tell you what, man, that coaching staff just melted right in front of everyone's eyes. Shit, that coaching staff couldn't win a playoff game to save their life. That coaching staff is so far behind the players. Let me put it to you this way. That coaching staff, and I keep saying that, and I don't mean to disrespect the Desai, because I think he's coming along. I'm saying this to you. That coaching staff is hurting your team. It's hurting your team. They're hurting the team and Hurts. Jalen Hurts is regressing as a football player. What's the point of having as many touchdown passes as interceptions and turnovers if the kid throws for 4,300 yards? And you get outrated by Zach Wilson. What's the point? What's the point? I don't get it. Reddick has been electric. He's been electric. Last 2 games, 5 sacks. Tell you what, it really was the injury. This guy's going to get man, he was dude, he kept the last 2 weeks. He has been a bullet. Man, he is some ball player. I'll tell you, man. I mean, he is a football player. He may not be the greatest tackler or cover, but I'll tell you, he's everywhere. You have to, listen, when you're game planning the Eagle defense, you have to game plan him. You have to game plan him. Killing it. Killing it. I couldn't have been more wrong about that kid. Hey, is he a slow starter? Okay. Well, get this. Now that you know his MO, shit, dude. He's going to be I would not be surprised if he ended up with 14 sacks this year. I would not be surprised. He is a football player. You know, Hurts is second in the NFL in interceptions. Crazy. Nakobe Dean, 3 tackles. I don't know. I mean, okay. Desai hit him. Hey, Jordan Davis playing his ass off. Jordan Davis is a recreated individual. He is a recreated individual. I don't recognize that guy. I mean, to me, he looks like a junior Fletcher Cox. You see Fletcher Cox bend that guy over? Did you see him bend that guy over, man? They brought in a backup. Fletcher destroyed him. Jordan Davis, I'll tell you what, man. He is a completely different football player. I cannot believe it. And I'll tell you this. Jets had all kinds of issues running the ball with him in there. And, man, he was really good. Really good. And him playing really good like that, here, this is what I would tell you about Nakobe Dean. Okay, I guess. I don't know. Nothing great. 3 tackles. You know, he's kind of a decent tackler. He's not great. He's just a dude right now. And maybe that could be because he hasn't had a ton of reps. We'll see. But I think, get this. So they thought they'd put him in that Jets game because they were taking that game for light. Some of you said, hey, Sills, you think they took that game lightly? That's probably why they wanted to try to get Nakobe Dean some reps, because you're going to need a guy who can cover against the Dolphins, who can drop back into coverage, because the Dolphins are coming. And they put up points, and they put up yards, and they run the ball. That's going to be some game, man. Okay, pause. I don't know who Fletcher bent over, man, but he bent some dude over. And it was crazy, man. I just don't get the mentality that you had. Okay? I just do not get the mentality of why they thought it was in the best interest to throw the ball 45 freaking times with an offense that likes to hang around 30 passes and 30 runs. That's who they are. But get this, Lane's injury, they freaked out. Stop blaming the freaking out on do you really think Jalen panics? Okay? Do you think that how many people in here really think that Jalen Hurts was panicking on the sideline or confused or didn't know what was going on? Or maybe he was this. Why are we throwing the ball, creating 3 and outs, and keeping the Jets in the game? Like Big Sil said, if you get 3 and outs and you allow a shitty team to stay, you deserve to get beat. You deserve it. Then you throw 4 turnovers, or you have 4 turnovers and 3 picks. Game. Game. Absolute game. Here are the numbers. First downs, 24 for the Eagles, 17 for the Jets. Total plays. Eagles ran 10 more plays than the Jets did. The Jets ran under 60 plays and beat you. How in the world does an NFL football team run 59 plays and beat you? So please live stream games. Would have loved to see your reaction live yesterday because my old lady got after me for how I was acting. 30D, I got you, brother. Total yards, 348 to 244. And the Eagles played like shit, and they had 100 yards more than them. Where are they beating you? 268 passing to 155. Here's the number, 4 turnovers. And here's the other number, the abandonment of the thing you do. Here, what's more absurd? The 80, you were outrushed by the Jets. Let me. Hold on. The Jets outrushed the Eagles? Dude, I would have put a prop bet. I would bet my house on that. It would never happen. The Jets outrushed you? 89 to 80. You had 80 yards rushing. You thought because Lane wasn't in there, it was in your best interest not to run the ball. Who made that call? If that's your head coach, you're looking at Brandon Staley II. Who made that fundamental decision in game? Well, let's just stop running the ball. Who did that? Doesn't the head coach, who was an offensive coordinator, chime in and go, what are we doing? That's a head coach's responsibility. What are we doing? Run that fucker. Run it. Swift is killing it. What are we doing? Hey, and then like this, at the end of the game, Lane only has a lateral sprain and can play Sunday. Good, they're going to need him. Get this, too. Think about where, hey, aren't you thinking this way late in the game? It was 17-14, right? Aren't you thinking this like late in the game? Aren't you thinking this late? You're going like this. Look, well, okay, we have the lead. We had, what was it? It was late in the game. Eagles had the lead, right? You have the lead. You have the lead. All the injuries happened. And what you did was you played right into a weakness, throwing the ball and telegraphing it as always. The entire right side of your offensive line was backups. Passing fundamentally works against them. Get those young guys rushing forward. Don't make them backpedal 45 times against an elite Jets defensive front seven. That's exactly where the game was changing. Dude, if I got a young player, I want him run blocking, not pass protecting versus Quentin Williams. It's a nightmare scenario. Where in that process don't you know where you are in the game? Keon goes, you got to give the Jets credit. For what? The Eagles gift wrapping a win? Give them credit for what? Where on here did they beat them? Because they hung around? It's because the Eagles didn't do the right fundamental thing. They thought throwing the ball. The Eagles went into this football game. I don't know. Did they think they were going to throw? I really do believe. You know what happened? Can I say this? Robert, watch this. Let me show you how incompetent your offensive coaches are, including your head coach. Because the two corners were out, 2022 Week 9 against Commanders all over again. Let me say this to you. Do you know that they had a meeting probably on Saturday night? Hey, both corners are out. We can exploit that. Let's go after those corners, and let's let Jalen eat throwing the ball. Instead of getting into the game and having a feel for the game, they had a predetermined call on what they were going to do in the game. That's not play calling. That's not you don't have a strategy. You don't have a strategy in a battle. You have a fundamental idea where you're going to attack and what weaknesses and strengths are. You don't attack something until you know it's a weakness. Get this. They took the play calling of Robert Saleh and the defensive coaches on the Jets, and they didn't really think that they could outcoach him. They did. With the JV Jets team. They went into that game sitting around as coaches on a Saturday night. Both corners are out. They got a ton of people out in their old line. And in my opinion, it wasn't the players that weren't prepared. It was the coaches that weren't prepared and underestimated their opponent. That is so inexplicable, and it's so much a sign of inexperience. It's mind-numbing. It was like JV coaches think like that. Well, let me go into this game because, they don't have these personnel guys in here. That's not how you coach. You don't know what they're going to look like. Sirianni admitted that they changed their game plan when they found Sauce Gardner was going to be out. Why would you do that until you got into the game? What is our obsession with passing? Pacheco, Mozart, Arcane, Christian McCaffrey, 90% of the top offenses are getting up through the run, yet we seem allergic to it. It's arrogance, like Tone said. It's arrogance. Listen to this. So when I heard Sauce Gardner, I knew it. When I heard Sauce Gardner and the other guy was out, I went like this. I guarantee you they throw that ball 30. I didn't think 45. I thought 35 plus. They sure did. They are so predictable. Dude, the guy Desai, no matter what pieces there's not a chance in hell that Jonathan Gannon would be doing the job that Sean Desai is doing. This guy's putting cars together with spare parts from a junkyard. And he's putting all together. And he's doing a good job, man. I like him. That guy's a coaching candidate, man. I mean it. He's finding, you know what he is? He's a problem solver. You know what your offensive coaches are? Problem makers. You, You made that game so easy for the Jets to win. You did everything predictable. Everything. Do you know the only thing that wasn't predictable in that game? What do you think the only thing that wasn't predictable in that game? Was the kicker not making the field goal. That was the only thing that wasn't predictable in that game. I mean it. Dude, are you good in the secondary? No, but they got around it. Because Reddick and Davis, and like I've been telling you, your best defensive lineman on a week-to-week basis is Josh Sweat. That guy is so good. I'll tell you what, man, Brian Burns is a really fine ball player in Carolina. Is he better than Josh Sweat? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe like that. But that guy makes $20 million. Carolina wanted 3 ones for him. They weren't going to surrender him. He is good. Man, no. Sweat is great. He's a great football player, man. Dude, the only thing, seriously, that wasn't predictable in that game was Jake Elliott missing that field goal. I was floored too. I was like, shit, really? Wow. Everything, when Lane went out, man, went the other way. Can you imagine how much of the sphincter muscle must have closed up even more when he missed that field goal with that coaching staff? That's where in the world are you calling a pass play for Jalen late in a ball game when you have the lead? Why are you doing that? Oh, frustrating. Because you know what? They're going to cost you another game. Wait a minute. Your coaching staffs have already cost you big games. Hey, man. And by the way, I already hear people going like this about the Niners. The Niners lost to a historical, insane defensive football team in Cleveland. No team since the merger, the 1970 Minnesota Vikings, have given up fewer yards already 6 games into the season. That's the Purple People Eaters. No team has given up fewer yards. That's the best defense in the National Football League. And why did Jim Schwartz leave? I'm curious. Tell me something. Why did Schwartz leave Philly? Was he asked to leave, or was it after Doug he wanted out too, when he didn't get the head coaching job? What happened? I think it's actually Greasy 206. And the second team is the Ravens. He left after the Super Bowl? Shit, man. He retired? Well, he's unretired with the top defense in the league. And by the way, Eagles, Cowboys, Niners, all those guys can say whatever they want. That Cleveland team, and Tony and I said it to you a year ago, that Myles Garrett, next time I hear somebody telling me about the defensive player of the year being Michael Parsons, you run that by Myles Garrett first. That guy's from sideline to sideline, in the backfield, covering. He is Lawrence Taylor. He looks more like Lawrence Taylor. That's how Taylor plays. That is more like Taylor. Can't run at him. He's great against the run. He gets up the field. That guy is a first ballot, bona fide defensive football dog. That is a player. Parsons is a perpetrator. We'll see tonight. You know, I was gonna go knee deep into this thing here with Hurts, but I'm not now. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because in my conversation with you just now, it really is the coaches that are killing this kid. Can bad coaching send you the other way. Look at Russell Wilson. What's different with Russell Wilson since he left Seattle? Pete Carroll. Not everybody's Tom Brady. They take the system with them. You see, remember they used to call Tom Brady a system quarterback? Well, Tom brought that system, his system. Yeah, Tom's a system quarterback. His system. Created for him. Developed for him. And he put it in Tampa. Coaches like Sean Payton and these other guys, they have a system. And they want you to play in that system. Jalen Hurts does not fit in Brian Johnson's system. Yeah, but Sills, it's the same. Is it? Is it? Look at Scott, what he's saying. Carroll wasn't calling plays for Russ. It's his environment. He picks the coaches. Your guy doesn't. You want to know the difference? In theory, he is. You're not throwing the ball 50 times. We're running it with beast mode. That's my call. That's my call. You see, that's a true head coach. Not the one you got. Shane Steichen is clearly missed. Okay? This guy Scott doesn't know shit from Shinola. Two of the best coaches in the last 25 years in the NFL have been defensive coaches. Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll. They've been together to 9 Super Bowls as head coaches. I was going to go knee deep in here on Hurts, but I'm going to say this to you once again. Hey, look, because he knows this. He knows this. Okay? He sucked. But here's my overall evaluation of Jalen Hurts in that game. Yeah, Mike Tomlin too. Isn't it funny? Some of the greatest coaches that are in the sport right now are defensive coaches. You know why? Those defensive coaches have total say and autonomy in the hirings of their assistants. Tomlin has complete autonomy. Carroll does, and so does Belichick. Your boy doesn't. He gets it off a fax machine. Handed to him by Howie. Hurts knows this, what I'm going to say. Jalen Hurts, man, look, seriously, first half, I liked the way he was playing. I really did. There were a couple dime passes he threw. I was great, but then the volume became too much. And then it started wearing off. Then hey, you know what happens when you play against a fastball pitcher after a while? You catch up with the speed of the pitch, right? You catch up with it. The key with the Eagles is this. When Jalen Hurts is out there, what is the most intimidating thing that Jalen Hurts does? What's the most intimidating thing? He keeps you guessing. He keeps you guessing. They abandoned and went and became a one-dimensional. Dude, if you're going to be one-dimensional, why don't you hang on to one dimension that he's great at? Jalen Hurts is a better open field runner than passer, and he's getting better passing. By the way, the numbers, here's why I look at Jalen again, and I know it's coaching. Okay? What did Hurts have as a percentage? What was he, 66 in that game? Was he 66 in that game? 66 completion percentage? Didn't he hang around that number? 62. Lower. You know why? More volume passes. You had that number needs to be around 66, but 30 attempts max. And that's where that's what makes him so electric. 62%. And you're one-dimensional. And you panic because Lane went out. Coaching. Devontae Smith was playing with olive oil on his damn gloves. That's becoming a problem. You get this. How about this? I'm going to surrender this to you guys. And then you tell me what you think. Is it that Jalen Hurts wants to get A.J. Brown all the targets? Or is it he's a one-read guy? If you pick one or the other, it's still horrible for the offense. Okay? Sills, I don't think he's engaged because he's not getting as many targets. Keon, you know what, Keon? I'm not going to believe he has that mentality. I don't believe that mentality. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just going to choose not to believe that. Because I don't think he exhibits that. Okay? Okay? Smith has 10 targets yesterday. He's got to catch those footballs. Hurts' passing attempts have increased every single week. They're getting away from his strength. They're recreating him. They're changing Jalen Hurts who he is and who they're not. Get this. The guy they paid, that ain't him. How about this, man? Do you guys agree? Hey, Tone, how many targets did AJ get in that game? So, I mean, that's not the guy you paid for. That's not the product you bought. Okay? It's not what you paid for. AJ had 9, Swift 10, Smith had 11. So Devontae Smith had 11 targets, and AJ had 9. I thought it was a higher boy, that's pretty good production there by AJ. AJ had only 9 targets and 7 catches for 131. That's really good. Okay, that's really good. But look at these numbers here. Look at these numbers. 28 of 45. I circled that 45 like, what? 280, 1 touchdown, 3 picks, 59.5 rating. Zach Wilson, 19 for 33, 186, no touchdowns, no picks, 73.5. So Zach Wilson was more of a factor at the quarterback position when it came to the passing game than Jalen Hurts was, because Hurts' numbers really are all negative numbers, especially with those turnovers. What's the point of throwing the ball 45 times if you're hurting your team? I mean, excuse me, but here's where you go here. If you guys were down 10 or 15, or you guys were down by 21 points, I get the high volume of throws. I get the high value. And I understand that. I get it. I do. But when you're a running team and you're second in the league, get this, you went into this Jets game with your least productive part of your offense and thought you were going to beat the Jets. You know why? Because on a Saturday night over pizza, you guys heard that the Jets lost their corners, and you thought that that was going to be the proper approach instead of waiting to get to the game and to get into the game to see how that was all going to play out. You had a predetermined notion, and you disrespected your opponent, and you got beat for it. When things didn't start going your way, Lane gets hurt, you panic. All of a sudden, you see the Jets are doing a good job. You didn't know what to do. The whole offense was confused. That's right. You got it, Tone. Eagles took the bait. How many times do you hear people go, oh, they lost their right tackle? Oh, why do you think teams put that shit out sometimes? So that exactly what happened to the Philadelphia Eagles happens to them. Well, you lost both your corners. That's what we're going to attack. Anybody in their right mind that's a good coach doesn't think that way. You go into the game to wait to see how they're going to adjust to that. You don't know. What if their front four gets home? Hey, your corners haven't been playing great, but you know what they've done? They've brought heat, and Sweat and Reddick and Davis are getting home. That's how you're helping your secondary. Is Dallas on the team because they never look his way in the red zone? The red zone used to be a tight end thing. Death row. They got away from Swift too. Okay? They got away from Swift. Let me close this up here with Hurts here, though. What would I give Jalen Hurts? Look at these numbers right now, what he's trending to. He's trending to 600 attempts. Last year, he had like 430. 400 completions. 43-69, 20 picks and 20 interceptions with an 84.7 rating. That's what he's trending to. That's not Super Bowl numbers. 20 turnovers? You won't win your division. All because the Eagles want to improve his passing numbers at the expense of what the team does best. Why have Jeff Stoutland on the team? And get this, when you're in the game, help me on this. There were 20 pressures on your quarterback, the most any Eagle quarterback has had since 17. And you thought it was in the best interest to throw the ball 45 times. Like, who makes that call? Didn't somebody in game, somebody upstairs in the booth go, he's getting hit a lot. Why don't we run it? And then get this. Say you do that at the back end of the game with 1:30-something left. You have him throw an out pattern. Oh, I know why. Because you knew both corners were out. Get this. Both corners were out for the Jets. And a backup picked it off. And you lost because of your Saturday night pizza meal. Congratulations. You were out coached Saturday night. These guys aren't good on offense. Nick Sirianni's not a very good offensive coach. Because if you're not making and you're not stopping, hey, Mario Cristobal for not taking a knee, that's on him, not your coordinator. Mario's got to go, whoa. We're taking a knee here. We're taking a knee here. No, we're not. I'm making the call. This is my team. We're taking a high percentage play. We're taking a knee. It's on the road. We haven't played well. We're banged up. Let's get the win. Let's pack up and go back to Philly and reevaluate, and we'll go from there. Nope. And get this. And you know what? I almost feel like shit saying this. Hurts cost you the game. I do. Because there's a lot of me that says this. Hurts cost you the game? Because Hurts is a good football player, and he's a guy that's really well coached. And what I mean by well coached, he listens to his coaches. Come hell or high water. He's going to die in the vine with them. But eventually, man, you got to come to a grips. You got to do what's in the best interest of your unit, and you got to balk at some of that shit. See, Jalen doesn't want to be a bad guy here. That's why he's sitting on the sidelines. and he's not really. You really thought Jalen Hurts was rattled. Not me. It never crossed my mind. Sills, what's the likelihood that an edict was issued from the top down this season to keep the $250 million contract out? Oh, a ton relative, a ton. All of that's, hey, absolutely. The play calling, you can see it with the predetermined slides. Okay? JoJo goes, Sills is taking the loss harder than me. No, because you know why? I hate people who try to change people. And you're watching somebody try to change Jalen Hurts' game right in front of you for no reason. And you even paid the guy. It's almost like the guy got paid, and now you want to put him in the garage like he's a 67 Corvette or something. He wasn't rattled. If anything, he's rattled from the shitty coaching. No way. No way rattled. Rattled? The Jets rattled him with a JV team? Dude, that's not Cam Chancellor or Sauce Gardner out there. They were dudes that were on the practice squad. Rattled? Highly unlikely. You know, I keep having to remind myself to say this. The coaching sucks. The defensive coaching does not suck. Hey, by the way, Tracy Rocker, great year so far for him. Great year. Jordan Davis is completely a different looking guy. Jalen Carter looks like a stud. Josh Sweat is amazing. Hassan Reddick is getting back to form. Tracy Rocker needs a raise. Look at the line coaches you have. Both units traditionally play sensational. I wonder what Jeff Stoutland's input is. When they weren't running the ball, you think Stoutland said, let's not run the ball? Man, where's his say in this? Where's his say? I disagree with anybody that says he was rattled. If anything, he was pissed. I saw it too. Sills, we got outcoached. No question. Outplayed, we took it on the chin. Adjustments must be made, but Dallas still stinks. Hey, Philly, Dallas is going to take it on the chin tonight. Hey, by the way, do I still think that Philadelphia, San Francisco, you got to put Detroit in that conversation now? Buffalo, like teams like that, those are your upper tier teams. Yeah, a loss like that with all the, like I said, man, I opened up the show with this. What's crazy about what people are thinking right now? You think you're screwed. You're not. Look at this. You don't have Slay. You don't have Ricks. You don't have Blankenship. You don't have Jalen Carter. You don't have Lane Johnson. You don't have Milton Williams. You don't have Roby. And you thought it was a 9-point spread? Who in their right mind would think that? As that game evolved and you had all those missing pieces, that's a coin flip game, even with shitty Zach Wilson. That means it came down to coaching. And you got your doorknobs coached. I mean, it was amazing to watch those coaches. You've pretty much been out coached the entire year. The only guy that's getting better as a coach is Sean Desai. Plus, the turnovers came. Why did the turnovers? So get this. If you lose all those pieces, the Philadelphia Eagles still thought it was in the best interest to throw the ball more when Lane was out? Give me that. Give me that reasoning. Give me that reasoning. So Lane gets hurt. They threw it more. I mean, they threw it more with their best tackle out. Hey, let's throw it more. What? Then your quarterback. Hey, how many sacks did the Jets get? That vaunted O-line. It wasn't vaunted, was it? He had backups entire right side. How many sacks did they get? Please tell me. They got 2 sacks. Why does it feel like the Jets had 12? I thought the Jets had 10 sacks in that game. They were in the backfield. The only reason that, get this, the only reason that thing wasn't a train wreck, completely train wreck, was because Hurts is able in his ability to escape. Instead of, get this, he was running because he had to. Jalen Hurts, when he runs because he wants to, is a completely different mentality. He was scrambling versus, I'm getting positive yards here. Man, wow. I mean, I know high school coaches better than that. And I'm not saying that they're not good play designers. I'm saying you have to have a better feel for that. So get this right. Here. You had 20 pressures on the quarterback. More pressures than any Eagle quarterback has had since 17. You lose your potential Hall of Fame tackle, Lane Johnson. You got a backup right guard in. You abandoned the run, and you thought it was in the best interest to throw the ball 45 times. I want someone to answer for that. Because guess why? You continue down that line with that mentality, you will be beaten numerous times. And then you're going to turn around and go, what happened to our season? Shitty coaching. Shitty coaching. This is more, hey, when you have that laundry list, look at those names of players that are out. That's part of this. That's part of this. Okay? It is. So get this. Here are the 3 things. Once again, 4 turnovers, horrific offensive play calling, and injuries. That's not really anything the Jets did. And you took the bait. Well, corners are out. They knew that coaching staff on the offensive side is so inexperienced that they set the trap for them and they took the cheese. Well, corners are out, so as you're eating your pizza Saturday night, well, that's how we're going to attack them. Because you're, like Tone says, your arrogance, well, we could beat teams passing and running. Ooh. Chris Collinsworth Analytics, Pro Football Focus. Man. Hey, by the way, today is the day that we announce our winners for our Hooters. And last week's winners, Daniel from Georgia, Darren from Maryland, congratulations to you. We'll start this bad puppy up tomorrow. We really appreciate you guys being involved with our great giveaway of our Hooters gift certificates. And by the way, Monday Night Football tonight should be off the charts. Hopefully you went in during the Eagle game on Sunday or any one of the Northeast locations. Go to northeasthooters.com to find that location nearest you for you to experience what I've been talking about. Listen, you don't want to go in. You can also use the app at hooterstogo.com. Great specials. Tuesdays, buy 10 wings, get 10 boneless free. Wing Wednesdays. I mean, folks, 1983, all you can eat. It's a 40-year tradition. The iconic Hooter girls are in there. You'll have yourself one of the best times on the planet. That's northeasthooters.com. That's northeasthooters.com. My guy Tone is going to join me at the bottom of the hour. We'll continue this. Don't forget, Armando Salguero will join us also at 5:30 from Outtake. We'll talk with him, get his thoughts also from the Miami Herald. He's a Hall of Fame voter as well. He covers the Miami Dolphins. We will talk to him because that's the next opponent coming up. Plus Gary Cobb from Fox 29. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.